Have you ever found yourself negotiating with the person you love for the very things you shouldn't have to ask for? Their presence, their respect, their commitment? Have you caught yourself making endless excuses for their behavior, telling friends and yourself that they're trying or it's just a phase, all while a small, persistent voice inside whispers a different truth? Why is it that even when every fiber of your being feels depleted, you find yourself clinging to the hope of a future that never seems to arrive? A future where they finally become the person you know they could be. What if this hope, this relentless expectation of change, isn't a testament to your loyalty, but a subtle form of self-abandonment? What if the love you're so desperately trying to build isn't a monument to connection, but a mirror reflecting the deepest, most unhealed parts of your own past? It's a shadow of the love you were denied, now seeking resolution in a person fundamentally unable to provide it. This isn't about them failing you, it's about an emotional blueprint you've been operating from, one never built for true, reciprocal connection. At Love Threads, we don't just talk about relationships, we deconstruct them. We blend authentic, grounded insights with robust, evidence-based psychology, giving you the real intelligence on why we connect, why we sometimes misstep, and how to truly thrive when love feels like a constantly shifting landscape. Tonight, we're unraveling the painful illusion of conditional love and the profound, often unconscious journey to break free from the threads that hold us just shy of a truly reciprocal connection. This isn't just a conversation about relationships, it's a profound invitation to reclaim your own narrative and discover the strength to choose the love you truly deserve.
The dilemma. We are conditioned from childhood, through fairy tales and cinematic fantasies, to believe that love is a force capable of conquering all obstacles. This narrative, a beautiful ideal on its face, can become a psychological maze in real life, a labyrinth where we endlessly chase the potential of a person rather than loving the reality of who they are. This is where we find ourselves in a partnership with a ghost, a future version of our loved one that exists only in our minds. We become architects of a hypothetical future, pouring our energy into a person we hope will one day exist, while the real person stands right in front of us, unchanged. This illusion is particularly appealing to the archetypal fixer, a compassionate and deeply empathetic soul who believes their love is a powerful enough force to mend another. In their purest form, these individuals are natural healers, driven by an inherent desire to bring wholeness and solace to those they care about. However, within a dysfunctional relationship, this noble role becomes tragically distorted. The fixer becomes entangled with the archetypal wanderer, a person who is emotionally unavailable, inconsistent, or perhaps grappling with their own unresolved inner turmoil. The fixer, driven by their deep-seated need to nurture, sees not the person as they are, but as a wounded soul needing their salvation. This dynamic becomes a perfect, if painful, match. The wanderer, in turn, finds comfort and validation in the fixer's unwavering devotion, a dynamic that allows them to avoid their own necessary personal work. It's a delicate and often devastating dance. The more the fixer gives, the more the wanderer retreats, creating an emotional echo chamber where the fixer's heroic efforts are met with silence, vague promises, or further emotional withdrawal. This is not a mistake. It is a meticulously crafted psychological contract. One person sacrifices their own needs in the unspoken, often unconscious hope of saving the other. This dynamic is a profound reflection of a deeper relational wound. It's an unspoken truth within the fixer that whispers, I must earn my place in this relationship by proving my worth through endless service and sacrifice. In this entanglement, Genuine connection isn't born from mutual respect and vulnerability, but from a shared, though unacknowledged wound. The fixer becomes a mirror of the consistent love the wanderer was denied, while the wanderer becomes the echo of the unconditional love the fixer never received. The relentless hope that the partner will one day change is not just a belief, it is the very mechanism that keeps this entire dysfunctional system in place, trapping both individuals in a cycle of unfulfilled potential and emotional stagnation. The hope, therefore, is not a path to a better future, but a tether to a painful past. This heartbreaking cycle blinds us to the present, making us miss the opportunity to create a truly healthy and reciprocal connection with someone who is ready for it today. The illusion of change is a powerful one, a narrative deeply woven into the fabric of our relational lives. It is the silent promise we make to ourselves that our love, our patience, and our unwavering effort will be enough to transform a person, a dynamic, or an entire relationship. This belief is not a mere flaw in our thinking, it is a secret contract we carry, a reflection of archetypal journeys that have guided humanity for millennia. Let us explore this profound dynamic through 3 archetypal pairings. The story of the alchemist and the shadow. In the quiet crucible of the heart, there lives a person whose very essence is that of the alchemist. Their soul's sacred contract is to transform base emotions into gold, to see not what is broken, but the hidden potential within. They are drawn to the difficult, the misunderstood, the seemingly impossible, because their spirit is wired for healing and transformation. They are not naive. They're simply people who believe in the power of love as a catalytic force. This alchemist is naturally drawn to a partner who embodies the shadow. This is a person who, while often charismatic and magnetic on the surface, carries deep, unintegrated parts of themselves. The unacknowledged pain, the buried shame, the emotional inconsistency that manifests as hot and cold behavior. One moment they're intensely present and charming, the next they're cold, distant, and emotionally welled off. The alchemist sees this erratic behavior not as a red flag, but as a wounded child in need of saving. They become convinced that if they can just find the right combination of words, the perfect act of service, or the ultimate expression of unconditional love, the shadow will finally recede and the true partner will emerge. Their life becomes a spiritual and emotional quest. They pore over countless self-help books, listen to podcasts, and engage in meditative practices, all in an effort to be a better partner, operating under the belief that their own transformation would somehow catalyze their partner's transformation. The moments of disconnection are often followed by the partner's fleeting moments of intense charm or a heartfelt apology, which the alchemist clings to as proof that their hard work is paying off. They would make elaborate plans for a romantic dinner, only for the shadow to cancel last minute with a vague excuse. They would try to initiate a quiet, vulnerable conversation about a painful issue, and the shadow responds with a defensive debate, or even more devastatingly, a silent retreat. Each failed attempt isn't a sign to give up. It's a new ingredient for the alchemist's cauldron, a renewed reason to hope. But the deep, poignant truth is that the alchemy is only happening within the alchemist. Their relentless hope, once a beautiful source of self-worth, begins to yield diminishing returns, draining their energy and sense of self. The shadow remains untransformed because it is their own shadow to face, not the alchemist's to fix. The alchemist's sacred contract to heal others becomes a painful detour from the real work, healing themselves. The story of the caretaker and the eternal child. Another archetypal pairing that traps individuals in the illusion of change is that of the caretaker and the eternal child. The caretaker's sacred contract is rooted in providing comfort and support, a role often learned early in life when they had to take on adult responsibilities to keep a family system from collapsing. Their entire identity is built on being needed, and they find a profound sense of purpose in the act of service. Naturally, they are drawn to a partner who embodies the eternal child, a person who, though charming and full of potential, struggles with the practical realities of adult life. This individual finds it difficult to manage finances, make firm decisions, or regulate their own emotions, often falling into patterns of irresponsibility and impulsivity. The caretaker, guided by their core belief, is convinced that with enough guidance, patience, and love, their partner will eventually mature. They take on the burden of two people, handling the household bills, organizing social calendars, and often taking the blame for their partner's mistakes. When the eternal child loses a job due to a lack of effort, the caretaker rationalizes it as a bad fit and immediately helps them with their resume. When an important anniversary is forgotten, the caretaker dismisses it with a sad smile, telling themselves they're just not good with dates. This dynamic creates a self-perpetuating cycle. The more the caretaker provides, the more the eternal child relies on them, never developing the self-reliance, emotional regulation, or accountability needed to become an equal partner. The caretaker's hope becomes a gilded cage for both of them, a cage that keeps their partner from growing up and the caretaker from receiving the reciprocal care and partnership they so desperately need. Their sacred contract, intended to be a source of selfless joy, becomes a heavy burden of endless, unreciprocated effort. In this dynamic, the caretaker often feels a quiet resentment, but is too afraid to confront it, fearing the relationship would collapse without their constant support. The story of the seeker and the chaser. Finally, we encounter the poignant journey of the seeker and the chaser. The seeker is a deeply spiritual soul with a profound longing for a soulmate connection, a cosmic union of two people destined to grow together. This person often lives with a sense of mystical hope, believing that their one true love is out there, waiting to be found. They are drawn to a partner who is a classic chaser, a person who is emotionally distant, perpetually guarded, and constantly in motion, either literally or figuratively. This person's unavailability is not a flaw in the relationship. For the seeker, it becomes a grand mystical quest. The seeker believes this emotionally distant person is their anima animus figure, a key to their own spiritual evolution. The emotional distance isn't a red flag, it's a cosmic challenge to be overcome. The seeker spends their days trying to decode the chaser's silence, their infrequent texts, and their guarded expressions. They read books on attachment theory and emotional intelligence, hoping to find a secret key to unlock their partner's heart. The chaser, in the meantime, is always moving on to the next thing, a new project, a new hobby, a new distraction. When the seeker tries to deepen the conversation, the chaser physically or emotionally withdraws, forcing the seeker to pursue them once again. The chase itself becomes the core of the relationship. The hope in this dynamic is that one day the chase will end and they will finally meet in the middle, a perfect spiritual union. But the heartbreaking reality is that the chaser is comfortable with the chase. It allows them to maintain their emotional distance while receiving the validation of being pursued. For the seeker, the chase is a painful substitute for the true intimacy they crave, a perpetual journey that never reaches its destination. Their love is a projection, not a genuine interaction, and their relentless pursuit is a desperate attempt to create a bond that simply doesn't exist in the present moment. This is a story of a hero's quest gone wrong, where the hero is chasing a prize that was never truly there to begin with. This dynamic, though deeply painful, reveals a profound truth about the human spirit's desire for wholeness. The seeker's quest isn't truly about their partner. It's a profound, albeit misdirected, search for a connection to their own deepest self, a sense of completeness they believe they can only find mirrored in another. They are not just seeking a partner, they are seeking a piece of their own soul they fear they have lost.
The blueprint of unconditional hope. The patterns we've explored are far from random. They are deeply rooted in our individual psychology, our family histories, and the very neurobiology of our brains. Understanding these dynamics is the first step toward true liberation, allowing us to move beyond the painful illusion of change and into a space of conscious connection. This isn't about pointing fingers or assigning blame. It's about illuminating the invisible forces that have guided our relational choices and giving us the power to choose a new path. Archetypes, the fixer and the avoidant. At the heart of the "I hope they'll change" dynamic lies a powerful and often unconscious pairing of archetypes. We see the archetypal fixer, a person whose very identity is profoundly tied to their ability to help and heal others. This isn't a personality trait as much as it is a survival mechanism forged in childhood. They may have been a parentified child, forced to take on adult responsibilities in a family system that was unstable, emotionally volatile, or neglectful. They learned that their value, their security, and their place in the family came from being needed and from making things right. Their secret contract is to bring order to chaos, to heal what is broken, and in doing so, they hope to finally receive the love they were denied. This fixer archetype is almost magnetically drawn to the archetypal avoidant. The avoidant operates from a place of deep-seated fear of intimacy and vulnerability. They learned in childhood, often from a caregiver who was emotionally distant or unresponsive, that their needs were a burden and that emotional closeness was dangerous. This created a core belief that to protect themselves, they must keep others at arm's length. As adults, they may crave connection, but their nervous system is terrified of it. This creates a push-pull dynamic that perfectly hooks the fixer. The fixer's attempts to get closer are met with the avoidance withdrawal, which, in a tragic twist, reinforces the fixer's belief that they just need to try harder. This is the essence of an anxious-avoidant attachment dance, a relational pattern where both partners, through their unconscious behaviors, are keeping each other trapped in a familiar yet deeply painful cycle of yearning and distance. Neither person can truly move forward because the dance itself has become the central focus of the relationship. The intimacy they both seek is lost in the performance of their learned roles. Family systems and systemic entanglements. Our current relationship patterns are not isolated events. They are profound echoes of our family systems. The concept of family constellations teaches us that we carry the burdens and unconscious loyalties of our ancestors. The fixer, for example, may be unconsciously loyal to a grandparent who endlessly sacrificed their own happiness for an ungrateful spouse. They are not just an individual in a relationship. They are a representative of a larger, unhealed family narrative. This is a systemic entanglement, where the individual is acting out a family pattern without even knowing it, hoping to rewrite a history that wasn't theirs to begin with. The relentless hope that a partner will change is the individual's subconscious attempt to finally get the happy ending that their ancestors were denied. They are trying to fix their partner to complete an unfinished family story. The real solution doesn't lie in fixing the partner, but in recognizing and releasing the systemic entanglement, thereby reclaiming one's own destiny and creating a new narrative of health and self-respect. This requires a profound moment of self-awareness and the courage to break a pattern that has been passed down for generations.
The neuroscience of hope and connection. From a neuroscientific perspective, the hope that keeps us hooked is a powerful, addictive force. The brain's pleasure and reward center, driven by the neurotransmitter dopamine, is activated not just when we receive love, but also in the anticipation of a reward. In an inconsistent relationship, when the avoidant partner offers a fleeting moment of affection after a period of distance, the brain is flooded with dopamine, creating a powerful, addictive high. This intermittent reinforcement is even more addictive than consistent affection. It keeps the brain in a constant state of craving, much like the mechanism that drives gambling addiction. Our brains are literally wired to keep chasing the win, the moment they finally change, the moment they finally see our worth. This constant state of uncertainty also activates the amygdala, the brain's fear center. The anxiety and uncertainty of the relationship keep the amygdala on high alert, releasing cortisol, the stress hormone.
This creates a state of chronic stress, but the brain, in its attempt to make sense of the chaos, misinterprets the adrenaline and intensity of the situation as a sign of passionate, profound love. We literally mistake emotional chaos for emotional depth. For those who experienced inconsistent love in their youth, this blueprint is deeply ingrained. Their nervous system doesn't feel safe in a calm, healthy relationship precisely because it doesn't recognize it as love. It has been conditioned to associate high-intensity drama with closeness and stillness with a lack of connection. This makes secure, healthy love feel foreign and sometimes even boring. Developmental stages: intimacy versus isolation. From an Ericksonian perspective, the stage of young adulthood is defined by the crisis of intimacy versus isolation. The crucial developmental task is to form deep, meaningful, and reciprocal relationships without losing one's sense of self. The fixer and the avoidant are often stuck in this stage, unable to move forward. The fixer, so focused on merging with and saving the other, never fully develops a distinct sense of self. Their identity becomes intertwined with their role as a rescuer, blurring the lines of their own needs and desires. This leads to a state of emotional fusion, where their identity is contingent on their partner's state of being. The avoidant, on the other hand, retreats from true intimacy, choosing a form of emotional isolation within the relationship. They have a partner, but they're not truly intimate. Both are failing to navigate this crucial developmental stage, and both are subconsciously keeping each other from doing so. The fixer's hope is a barrier to their own individuation, and the avoidant's fear is a barrier to true connection. The only way to move forward is to address the underlying wounds that are preventing them from forming an intimate, interdependent, and healthy connection. This is the work of differentiation, the process of becoming a separate, autonomous individual while maintaining a meaningful connection with others. This requires both individuals to stop looking at the other to solve their problems and to begin the difficult work of looking inward. The hope for change must be redirected from the partner to the self. Modern love, intimacy, and societal influences, the deception of potential. Beyond the individual and family blueprints, the modern landscape of dating and relationships amplifies this dilemma. We live in a culture of infinite choice and curated digital selves, a world where the idea of potential is often more seductive than reality. Social media, dating apps, and self-help culture present an illusion of endless possibilities, making it easy to see a partner not for who they are today, but for a polished, idealized version we believe they could become. This is the phenomenon of the almost, where we remain emotionally invested in a relationship that lacks commitment, consistency, and depth, simply because the promise of what it could be feels more compelling than the truth of what it is. We are sold a dream, and we spend our time and emotional energy trying to make it real, often at the expense of our own well-being. Our societal understanding of love is often steeped in a patriarchal framework that values control, power dynamics, and conditional affection, rather than a genuine, transformative love built on respect and mutual growth. A fixer's impulse to save their partner can be seen as an unconscious enactment of this societal script, where one person's identity is defined by their ability to manage or change another. That the intense chase for the avoidance affection can be mistaken for desire, a kind of erotic tension that masks a profound lack of security and genuine intimacy. The hope for change becomes the very drama that keeps the relationship from stagnating, even as it keeps both individuals from true connection. The pursuit is intoxicating, but the arrival is terrifying. The Four Horsemen of Conditional Love gives us a clear framework for understanding why these dynamics are so destructive. The hope for change often leads to a pattern of negative interactions that mirrors their four horsemen of the apocalypse for relationships. 1. Criticism.
The fixer's attempts to help the avoidant often manifest as subtle or overt criticism of their behavior, their choices, or their character, all in the name of improvement. 2. Contempt. When the fixer's efforts are met with withdrawal, their frustration can turn into contempt, a deeply corrosive feeling of superiority that says, "I'm doing everything right and you are the problem." 3. Defensiveness. The avoidant partner, sensing this criticism and contempt, instinctively becomes defensive, creating a wall of justification and blame to protect their fragile sense of self. 4. Stonewalling. This defensiveness can ultimately lead to stonewalling, a complete emotional and physical withdrawal that shuts down any hope of communication and reinforces the fixer's deepest fears of abandonment. This cycle is the antithesis of a healthy, sound relationship house, a model built on trust, respect, and mutual affection. The hope for change becomes the very mechanism that introduces and perpetuates these destructive patterns, making the relationship less, not more, likely to succeed. The power of self-differentiation, moving from fusion to interdependence. The path out of this labyrinth lies in the crucial psychological work of self-differentiation. This concept, foundational to systems theory, is not about becoming an isolated individual, but about developing a clear sense of self while remaining emotionally connected to others. For the fixer, this means learning to identify their own thoughts, feelings, and needs separate from their partner's. It's the journey of moving from "I feel what you feel" to "I feel this and you feel that, and both are okay." Differentiation requires the courage to set and maintain boundaries without guilt. It's the radical act of saying, "I love you, but I will not sacrifice my own well-being for your potential." This shifts the dynamic from one of a rescuer and a dependent to two interdependent adults. The avoidant, faced with this change, is then confronted with a choice: to engage with a secure and differentiated partner, or to continue their pattern of withdrawal, which will no longer be met with a relentless chase. This is the true turning point, not when they change, but when you stop being the person who needs them to. The hope is no longer an external projection. It is a quiet, powerful knowing that you are capable of building a life of profound respect and genuine connection, with or without them. Rewriting the narrative, from hope to reality. The narrative you've been living is one of perpetual hope, a story where your love is the ultimate force of change. This belief, while noble, has kept you stuck, tethered to a version of a person who doesn't exist. It's time to write a new narrative, a story of self-reclamation, courage, and choosing a love that exists in the present, not one you have to endlessly build. This journey unfolds in 3 distinct phases, each requiring profound honesty and commitment to yourself. Phase 1. Acknowledging the illusion. The first phase of rewriting your story is to perform an honest inventory of your relationship. This isn't a moment for anger or judgment, but for raw, unapologetic truth. Your goal is to acknowledge the gap between the person you are with and the person you've hoped they would become. You must let go of the what ifs and they could be's and bravely face the facts of your life. This is the heroic journey of facing the dragon of delusion and returning with the truth. Examples. 1. Acknowledge their actions, not their words. For years, you might have told yourself that their empty promises, like, "I'll be there next time, I'll make more of an effort, I'll change," were proof of their good intentions. In this phase, you would look at the consistent pattern of their actions. Did they actually show up? Did they follow through? The truth is in what they do, not what they say. You must grieve the loss of the potential you so deeply cherished and make peace with the reality of the present. 2. Separate their story from your reality. You may have built a narrative around their difficult past, their emotional wounds, or their good heart. While empathy is a virtue, this phase requires you to separate their story from your daily experience. You must ask,
Do I feel respected and seen for who I am, regardless of their past? For example, if you are constantly the recipient of their emotional volatility, their difficult past is the reason for their behavior, not an excuse for it. Acknowledging their story doesn't mean you have to endure the pain it creates. 3. Recognize the energetic imbalance. Take stock of the emotional energy you expend versus the energy you receive. Is your relationship a two-way street or a one-way highway where you're the sole provider of effort, communication, and emotional support? This isn't a transactional calculation. It's an honest assessment of reciprocity. If you consistently find yourself exhausted from giving and waiting for a return, this phase is about accepting that the emotional investment is fundamentally imbalanced.
Phase 2. The inner work of self-reclamation. The second phase is to redirect the powerful energy you've been projecting onto your partner back to its original source, yourself. This is the work of self-reclamation. It's about remembering who you are without the constant need to fix, caretake, or chase. You must heal your inner fixer, your inner caretaker, or your inner seeker. This requires a deep dive into self-compassion, setting firm boundaries, and beginning to consistently show up for yourself in the ways you've been hoping your partner would. Examples. 1. Heal the inner fixer. Acknowledge that your worth isn't tied to your ability to save others. Instead of spending hours planning how to fix a difficult conversation, you spend that time on self-care. Go for a walk. Journal about your own needs, or connect with a friend who makes you feel seen. The energy you used to pour into them is now poured into your own well-being. You learn to detach from the outcome of their journey and focus on the integrity of your own. 2. Heal the inner caretaker. Ask yourself, what parts of myself did I abandon in the hope that they would change? Perhaps you gave up hobbies, friendships, or core values to accommodate their needs or erratic schedule. Self-reclamation means reclaiming these parts of yourself. For example, if you stopped pursuing your passion for painting because your partner's emotional needs took up all your time, you now intentionally carve out time for that. You learn that your happiness is not a bonus, it's a necessity. 3. Heal the inner seeker. Instead of trying to decode your partner's silence or guardedness, you learn to trust your own intuition and communication. You shift your focus from finding the secret key to their heart to understanding the keys to your own. This might mean starting a mindfulness practice to ground yourself so you stop misinterpreting their emotional distance as a cosmic test. You learn that the ultimate spiritual connection you've been seeking is with yourself, and that a true partner will be a companion on that journey, not the destination itself. Phase 3. The courage to choose a new reality. The final phase is the most courageous, the choice to live from your new narrative. This means having the strength to either accept your partner exactly as they are and consciously choose to stay, or to have the courage to leave. This isn't a decision made out of anger, but one made out of self-love and self-respect. You must break the sacred contract that has kept you tied to the old pattern and declare a new one with yourself. Examples. 1. Set an unbendable boundary. You declare a new sacred contract with yourself. I will not accept a love that is disrespectful. If your partner's behavior crosses this boundary, you enforce it without guilt. For example, if they disappear without a word, you no longer chase them. Instead, you create a new reality where you value your time and emotional space. You understand that this isn't an ultimatum, it's a declaration of your own worth. 2. Choose a quiet, steady love. Instead of mistaking chaos for passion, you begin to consciously choose a love that is a quiet, steady presence. This might mean leaving a relationship that is a constant, dramatic chase and opening yourself up to someone whose affection is consistent and whose words align with their actions. You realize that true intimacy isn't a reward for your hard work, it's a gift you both deserve from the beginning. 3. Declare your new contract. You make a public or private declaration. My love will no longer be an offering to be earned, but a foundation from which I build a life of genuine connection. This could be a journal entry, a conversation with a trusted friend, or a firm boundary you set with your partner. This powerful act shifts you from being a victim of circumstance to being the author of your own destiny. You choose to believe that you are worthy of a love that is already ready for you. The turning point. What if your unwavering hope wasn't a sign of naivety, but rather the glowing embers of a powerful, misdirective fire within you? The immense capacity for a love that has yet to find its true recipient, yourself. What if the intense, heart-wrenching pain you've been feeling wasn't a testament to their power over you, but a catalyst, a searing invitation for you to finally claim your own strength and destiny? The true turning point in this journey is never about them finally changing. It is about the sacred, solitary moment you decide to release them from the role of your savior. The instant you stop waiting and hoping for them to become a different person is the very same instant you begin to change the entire dynamic of your life. This is the quiet rebellion where you realize the most profound act of love is not to endlessly give and deplete yourself for another, but to first and foremost give to yourself. Healing begins when you stop outsourcing your self-worth to the inconsistent, painful echoes of your childhood. It is the courageous act of becoming the loving, consistent adult you always needed. The one who holds your own hand, sets your own boundaries, and provides the safety you've been seeking elsewhere. This radical self-acceptance is the key. You learn that you can belong to yourself fully and completely without abandoning the possibility of deep, meaningful connection. This inner peace is the soil from which authentic relationships can finally grow. This is the moment your own inner alchemist awakens. Its purpose is not to fix another, but to transform the pain of the past into the gold of your future. It's a future where your love is not a burden to be carried or an offering to be earned, but a light to be shared from a place of abundance and wholeness. This isn't about giving up on love, it's about giving up on the illusion that love is something you have to earn. This is the radical act of choosing yourself. And in doing so, you open the door to a partnership of two whole people ready for a love that is reciprocal, respectful, and real. Conclusion and reflection. Who would you be if you stopped waiting for them to change? What parts of yourself have you put on hold? Your hobbies, your friendships, your joy, all in the hope of a future that has yet to arrive. What would it feel like to choose a love that is already ready for you? A love that meets you exactly where you are today, not where you hope they will be tomorrow. The illusion of potential can be a prison, but embracing the truth of the present is a profound act of freedom. It's the moment you realize that your worth isn't tied to your ability to fix another person. You are not a fixer, a rescuer, or a caretaker. You are a complete person, a sacred contract with your own soul, deserving of a love that is reciprocal, respectful, and real. The most radical thing you can do for yourself and for the love you truly deserve is to stop hoping and start choosing. Choosing yourself, choosing your peace, and choosing a partnership that honors your wholeness. This journey is not about abandoning love, but about finding the courage to love yourself enough to no longer settle for its conditional, unfulfilled promise. By releasing your grip on what could be, you make space for the beauty of what is,
and for the genuine connection that awaits you. This is the path to a love story where your own heart is the hero and your happiness is the only metric of success. It's a journey from a relationship based on lack to one rooted in an abundance of self-love. Call to action. Have you recognized yourself or a pattern you've experienced in this discussion? What insights have you gained on your journey to reclaim your identity and set healthier boundaries? Share your experiences and reflections in the comments below, and let's continue to unravel the heart of modern connection, one insightful thread at a time. Your story is a powerful part of this collective journey toward conscious love.